How are you doing today? Hopefully things are going fine for you. If you take out your notes under word problems, or if you want to start a whole new page, that would be absolutely fine as well. But that's what our little topic for our video for today is going to be. And let me jot that on top of my piece of paper up here. Get my stuff ready to roll here. It is under word problems. Ooh, that's pretty thin. Let's go here. Ooh, that's pretty thick, but that's okay. We will start with that. Word problems. I'll make it a little smaller here in a minute. Word problems. Poof. And you'll like this. The little subheading under these type of word problems are called multi-step ones. Multi-step, which means, boys and girls, it's going to take you more than one step to do these. And as always, kids, I will preach this to you till the very bitter end here. Okay? You need to write in ginormous letters here. When you do these word problems, you need to sketch them out. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. And I will have you write down this example here. And hopefully you'll see why here. Let's write this down. Here is our example of one of them. Tim is 5 years older than Robert. 5 years older than Robert. Robert is 3 years older than Sally. Robert is 3 years older than Sally. Period. Sally is 15 years old. Sally is 15 years old. How old is Tim? How old is Tim? Boys and girls, question mark. And again, there is just a lot of different information being given to you there, and it's really hard to keep track of all this in your head as much as you might think that you can. You probably can't do as good a job as you want. So you want to sketch this out, and you don't have to draw people or pictures, but rectangles seem to do the trick just nicely. If Tim is 5 years older than Robert, I'm going to make a rectangle here. This one, let's call Tim. He is 5 years older than Robert, so Robert is going to be a little less than him. So I'm going to boom, boom, boom. Here's my Rob. And it might not be a bad idea to jot down what the difference in their ages is, which is 5. You know, Robert is 5 years younger than Tim, so he's 5 whatever smaller than Tim. Robert is 3 years older than Sally. So Robert happens to be 3 years older than Sally, which means Sally will be a rectangle that is shorter still because she is younger. And what's her difference between how much shorter than Rob is? Well, she is 3 years shorter. However we draw that, just know that it is 3. So now here comes the whole thing all written out for us here. We know that Sally is 15. Well, if that's the case, and she's 3 years younger than Robert, let's just take it a step at a time. We know that Robert must be 18. And if Robert is 5 years younger than Tim, Tim has to be older because notice how he's taller by 5 years. That makes him 23. So the answer to this, how old is Tim? He is 23 years old. And you can see how much easier that is to figure out than for you just trying to do that all in your head or write it out there. Let's do another one. Boom, let me get a piece of paper here. Example number 2. Let's go with this one. Jill earns, no, I'm sorry. Jill studied for twice as long as Sarah. Jill studied twice as long as Sarah. And Jean studied for 10 minutes more than Jill. And Jean studied 10 minutes more than Jill. Not my best writing. Than Jill. Sarah studied for 40 minutes. Sarah studied 40 minutes. Here is the question. How many minutes did Jean study? How many minutes did Jean study? Again, we are going to sketch out boxes because there's just a lot of comparing and it's easy to get confused with all that. Jill studied twice as long as Sarah. So here is Jill. Again, it's good to label your boxes. She studied twice as long as Sarah, so Sarah is only going to study half as much as her. Here's Sarah. And you know the difference between them is 2 times. You have to 2 times Sarah to get up to Jill. Jean studied 10 minutes more than Jill. So over here, good old Jean, he studied actually more than Jill. So he is going to be taller than Jill. Jean. G-E-N-E, Jean. And the difference between them was 10 minutes. So here we go. We know that Sarah studied for 40 minutes. Poof. Well, if Sarah studied only half as long as Jill, that means Jill must have studied twice as long as that. So Jill would have studied for 80 minutes. And then Jean, because Jill studied 10 minutes, or Jean studied 10 minutes more than Jill, Jean must have studied for 90 minutes. So how long did Jean study? 90 minutes is my answer to that. And again, just need to sketch it all out. It will just help you boys and girls try to organize all that information as you do those things. So that should do it. Just remember, going back to this, right here is the key. You need to sketch everything out. If you sketch it out, it will become much simpler and easier for you to understand. So it was good talking to you, 5th grade. I think I'll probably see you sometime that day or at some point during the day.